All right, welcome back to the Twitchy Theologian. I'm your host, the Twitchy Theologian, aka Family Dollar James White, aka the Paladin Calvinist, and we are responding to Warren Mcgrew today. Old Mr. Magoo himself keeps putting out these Calvinism videos, so we gonna fire shots back at him. Yes, we are. We gonna fire them shots, and we gonna take them out. All right, and so I'm watching this here premiere, and he's saying stupid stuff, so we're going to respond to him. All right, Mr. Warren. Let's see what you got to say. How about why it says why Calvinist apologists fail? Let's go ahead and respond off gate. Why there are no open theist apologists? Why are your open theist buddies not getting on Joe Rogan? Maybe it's because the true God does not portray himself as the Hebraic Mega Zeus. And so he will not allow you to be on Joe Rogan. Maybe that's the reason. Perhaps it is because there's not many of you. Only in internet circles, like with Mr. Nathan Hellrung, who doesn't believe that God knows the future. Perhaps that's the reason that you don't even have apologetics. But let us go back and see what this is what made me want to start. All right. Oh, well, he's quoting some. We'll go back to where he's quoting this people.
Good news, ma'am. You just survived a brutal gang rape, but take heart. God effectually decreed every aspect of that for his glory. Yes, Jeff is following other Calvinist apologists like James White and R.C. Sproul Jr. by blaspheming God and accusing him of being the source of all evil.
Time out. What do you mean by the source of all evil? Because we don't believe that God is the efficient cause of all evil by any stretch of the imagination. However, Christ is the lamb slain from the foundation of the world. That means it was always a part of God's plan. He does have an eternal plan, according to Ephesians 3. It was always a part of his plan to send Jesus to the cross, which means there has to be sin to die for. And as the great Justin Peters said, God can't display his wrath and justice without there being sin in the world. So it was always a part of his plan, and it's a good plan. It's a good plan. So in some ways, I can say, thank God for the fall. Because of the fall, we have union with Christ through the person of the Spirit. So thank God that it was a part of his plan, but he did not efficiently cause it. So don't get that confused. But he has ordained whatsoever comes to pass according to Isaiah 46, 9 and 10, Ephesians 1, 11, everything that happens in our life. According to Job, the Job passage we talked about that you said was only about Hebraic fetology and this sort of silly stuff. Psalm 139:16, which you also said Hebraic fetology again, but I disagree with you. But yeah, let's continue.
When I say, does God decree evil acts, I'm including absolutely every evil act.
God works all things after the counsel of his will, even keeping those kings who want to commit adultery from committing so. And when he wants to, he orders those to commit adultery when he wants to.
Has God...
Okay, so I do want to say this. I don't like the way that guy worded that. He, okay, orders. What do you mean by orders? Like, if you mean orders as in, like, he tells them, you will commit adultery. No, that's not the way it works. But if it is, God has determined and decreed that this is going to come to pass. Sure. The question is, how does it come to pass? Or like, how does he decree it to come to pass? when it comes to sin like that, it's it could be passively decreeing it, saying, this is certainly going to happen, but I'm not making X necessary. But it will certainly come to pass. Or it could be him setting up circumstances and actively controlling other circumstances so that that's the way he guarantees that it happens. But either way, he guarantees that it's going to happen because he's has a plan for everything that happens in time. And that plan infallibly comes about because of his providential control and whatnot. Again, I think when you press beyond what the Bible says, you get into trouble. And so I don't think we should press beyond. God has ordained everything, and man is still free, volitional creatures in some sense. I don't think we should push beyond that. When you start trying to see the mechanisms behind it, that's when you just end up saying things that aren't true. So just caution there.
Predetermined every tiny detail in the universe, such as dust particles in the air. And then I should add here, including all our besetting sins.
Yes.
In their mind, God is too incompetent and powerless to redeem evil unless he's the one who thought it up and effectually decreed it with specificity. They tend to argue as if God isn't responsible for all the evil in the world, then he isn't sovereign. Oh, a mudslide occurred due to a contractor failing to obtain a land survey? God did that. Oh, that forest fire that started due to an arsonist teenager? God did that. Oh, that act of evil violence that wicked men perpetrated? God did that. They turn our rescuer and redeemer into the very author and perpetrator of all evil. So rather than comforting the grieving and reassuring them that
oh my gosh, rhetoric. He's the master of rhetoric. I'm telling you, this dude has some great rhetoric, but that's all it is. It's absolute nonsensical rhetoric. He's just blabbering. Oh, they make God the author of evil. They make God weenie and powerless unless he can control the evil. Like, I'm sorry, we actually believe God knows the future. I'm sorry, and you don't. I know you want to say that you do, but you don't, because knowledge is a justified true belief, and there is no true future in your system. Therefore, God doesn't know the future. It's pretty simple. Even the Molinists have a God that makes more sense than you guys do. But let's just answer him scripturally, because notice I use the Bible on my channel. I haven't heard any Bible yet. Isaiah 45:7, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Now, that word evil there could mean calamity. Or like natural evil, not moral evil. I do not believe that God works fresh evil in the heart of man. He doesn't have to. Mankind is totally depraved, and fresh evil is arising from them. And God does steer that evil to his own purposes, like Isaiah chapter 10. There's also I think it's Amos 3. Let's see. And this is off the top of the head, guys. So just know that. Hold on. Let me just look it up. Well, while I look it up, let's let him talk.
can trust in God to redeem, yes, even this. Instead, they tell the grieving that God did it. But hey, if you're elect, you'll thank him for it later.
Don't you know that when you're in heaven, you will be so sanctified that you will be able to see your own mother in hell and rejoice in that?
So your unbelieving mother passed away. Well, don't worry. I know you're grieving now, but according to Calvinist apologetics, when you see her suffering in eternal torment, you'll celebrate. Now, Christians recognize God grieves with the grieving.
So is God not so glorious that, and you'll love him so much more when you see him face to face, that you will love him infinitely more than you love your mother now on earth? I think that's true, personally. But the text that I was referring to was Lamentations 3:38. I said Amos for some reason. Well, we'll start in 37. Who has spoken, and it has come to pass, unless the Lord has commanded it? Is it not from the mouth of the Most High that good and bad come? Sounds like a decree to me. Yeah. In Kings, God's like, we gotta confuse these guys. I need a lying spirit to go down there and deceive them. And Satan's like, yeah, pick me. Like, I mean, we see numerous places in the scriptures where God decrees evil, the cross, right? Now, admittedly, I do think Lamentations 3, to some extent, is talking about judgment upon people. Why should a living man complain? A man about the punishment of his sins. Let us test and examine our ways and return to the Lord. Yada, yada, yada. But the point is, God decrees evil. At least he says so in this passage, whether for if he's for punishment or whatever. But those are the facts. And the problem is in what we see Mr. Mcgrew doing. Warren, love you, bud, but you got to stop, and you refuse to stop. So even though I consider you a friend, I'm going to fire shots because I'm tired of it, bro. Yeah, like I can't continually allow you to say these nonsensical things and to attack God, because I love God more than you, and so I'm going to speak truth. And I don't have to defend God per se, because the truth is like a lion. I'm just going to let it loose. And that's what I'm doing by going to the scriptures. Now, well, we'll get to Mr. Robert Raymond here shortly.
We need only look at Jesus's grief and weeping at the death of his friend Lazarus, or Psalm 34:18, which tells us that the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit.
Finally, some Bible. Finally.
Or Isaiah 25:8, where we're told he will swallow up death forever.
Yep.
And the Lord God will wipe away tears from every face.
Yep.
And that's a sentiment.
But my God knows he's going to do that. My God knows in Revelation that he's going to do that. Your God plans on doing that, but he's not sure how he's going to get there. My God knows meticulously how he's going to get there. Your God is stumbling around in the dark trying to make it happen. The Hebraic Mega Zeus. See, I can do rhetoric
reaffirmed
too.
In
it's
Revelation 21:4, which says, and God will wipe away every tear from the eyes, and there shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. As Christians, we don't look forward to celebrating the death of our unbelieving loved ones, but instead we recognize
I don't think anyone said that. I don't think anyone said that. No one said we look forward to celebrating the death of our unbelieving loved ones. No, but we do believe that God is so glorious that were we to look on our unbelieving loved ones and see them under the wrath of God and the justice of God being put on display, we would glorify God, because his wrath and his justice is that magnificent. That's the God that I serve, that he's so amazing that even something that here temporally I am appalled by, that when I actually see him on display, I will be in awe and know that God has done everything perfectly.
recognize God will grieve with us, and that their perishing was not the result of his eternal decree and lack of love and care for them, but rather it was the result of their rejection of the one who is life. And as we read,
all right, listen to that. Not Hold on, let me go back. I want to say it right.
But instead, we recognize God will grieve with us, and that their
We have no problem with God grieving with us to some extent.
perishing was not the result of his eternal decree and lack of love and care for them, but
Lack of love and care for them. So notice, what's the presupposition behind that, guys? See, this is why I'm going to pull my face up because it's real beautiful. This is why we want to think presuppositionally. We want to think biblically at all times. What is his presupposition there? He's presupposing that people deserve grace. But grace is unmerited favor. God does not have favor on everyone without exception. And I'm actually going to be talking about Luke chapter 2 today, later tonight, textual criticism. And we're going to be talking about God's favor to mankind in general and all of that. But let us get back to, I can just do it without me. Cool. All right, let's get back, and then I got our interview here soon.
but rather it was the result of their rejection of the one who is life. And as we read in Ezekiel 33,
we have no problem with
God
that.
has no pleasure in the death of the wicked.
Yep.
So why would we think that we're celebrating when he is grieving? But if
Right, God is not up there like maniacally, they're burning in hell. Dude, that's not what we're saying. But we're also not saying what you're saying, that God is up there for all eternity, like, oh, they didn't accept me, and now I got to send them to hell. No. Come on, bro. Tighten up a little bit.
If you think their view of celebrating in the destruction of unbelieving adult parents is bad, just wait until you hear Calvinists like James White tell you what he believes awaits unelect infants when they die.
So my understanding is that you cannot make it an automatic thing and just simply go, oh, well, ticket punched, gone to heaven. It's this, God has just as much freedom to extend his mercy and grace in that context as he does in any other. So so on the one side, you have people who say, oh, sorry, no faith, automatic hell for you. And then the people on the other side don't need it, automatic heaven for you. And I'm in the middle going, I think God's probably consistent here. And he's going to have elect infants. And then there are others who will not be. And I don't know what basis to put that on other than the same basis of all the rest of us.
Calvinists like James believe there are elect and unelect adults whom God chose in eternity past. Those that are elect to salvation.
That's we don't know how many. Like, it could be all of them that are elect to salvation. We simply don't know that. But the point is they're fallen in Adam, so they need to be redeemed, right? That's our point. We actually believe in original sin, like the Bible teaches in Romans chapter 5. So when you say Calvinists like James, you're not saying all Calvinists like James believe that babies go to hell. And I'm not even saying he said that 100%. He said it's possible, but nonetheless, he didn't specifically say that. But you're not saying all. I think you're saying a subset of Calvinists like James. I'm going to assume you were speaking right there, and
and the unelect are destined to hell. God passes over them, and he desperately tries to frame
good language. He uses preterition language. Good job.
In his position that God damns unelect infants as the moderate or centrist position. So to be clear, James affirms infant damnation and believes this is a moderate Christian position. But how does this view work in a real-world pastoral or counseling setting when he is addressing grieving parents? Well, mom and dad, we can hope the child was elect. Maybe God will spare them because their parents, like you, believed. Oh, what's that? You came to faith after the death of your child? Well, maybe God will yank them out of the fire retroactively. But don't worry. If they're unelect, you'll be celebrating their tortured cries while you're celebrating the torment of your unbelieving mother. This is
Jeez, bro. This master of rhetoric. This guy is. He really is. Master of rhetoric here. Again, we don't know how many infants are elect. It could be all of them. The true pastoral comfort is, will not the King of all the earth do right? That's the true pastoral comfort, that we can trust that God is just, that he is loving, merciful, and gracious, and that his plan is good, and he is infinitely wise, and his plan is the best outcome for his glory and for our good. And personally, I believe that God in his grace decides to save all infants. And I have passages that hint at that, but here's the thing: the Bible doesn't make it hardcore declaration, so we can't make it a hardcore declaration of this is infallibly what God does, because God doesn't say. The topic's not really addressed, and it's a difficult one, but this is what you get from the open theist crowd. This is their responses. Their apologetic is to attack Calvinism, because in order for them to make room for themselves, they have to knock Calvinism off of the bench, so to speak. So they have room to fit their narrow behind on the bench. So they're trying to push over the super fat guy of Calvinism who's taking up all the room on the bench. I don't know. Stupid illustration, stupid analogy. Warren, feel free to come on the channel. We can talk about this. I'm not a huge fan of the rhetoric. I think that we need to be grounded in the scriptures instead. Now, I'm not saying he never uses the scriptures, guys. He does. I've watched enough of his stuff to know he does, but he, like Don Preston, the full preterist, he twists it, mangles it, and all kinds of other stuff. But if you'd like to come on the channel and have a discussion, we certainly can. And if you want to moderate a debate, we can do that too. I'm a real busy man, but we can do it. Just let me know. Until next time, you stay twitchy, internet.